So, good day, everyone. It's noon here in Nigeria, primetime Africa. The sun is high up in the sky. Speaking about sun, I'm here to welcome you guys to another edition of SP Talks. Here we'll be discussing about energy today, and together with me, I have Aladelo Oyindamola from Part 4 Chemical Engineering, a student of the Department of OA, and she'll be here talking to us about energy. Hi, Oyindamola, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Aladelo Oyindamola and I'm a practical student of chemical engineering at Oyindamola University. So yeah, no special title for now.
Well, I guess we can call you an engineer to be. Thank you very much for
Yes.
the introduction. Yeah, so to start with, to kick off, what is energy and how would you, what would you say the evolution of energy has been?
Well,
How has it been like?
energy is like a basic source of almost everything that we use. We need energy to run a lot of things, our day-to-day activities. Well, I would say initially, the major source of energy was like majorly human effort and all. But with time, it has been evolving. Introduction of coal, fossil fuels, and now we have renewable source of energy that people are making use of. We have nuclear energy, hydrothermal energy, different sources of energy. It's just an industry that keeps on evolving and changing over time.
All right, thank you very much. So, what would you say has been the biggest change in the energy industry today? What has been the biggest transition?
Well, in my opinion, I don't think for now there's really a big transition because, like, it's still the energy sector is still majorly dependent on fossil fuels. But okay, for a transition, I would say the introduction of renewable source of energy, that's other energy forms, is like a very big transition. It's like a change in the energy sector.
All right, thank you very much. So, do you think the energy industry is meeting, today's present demand for energy?
Oh, presently, when we talk about today's demand for energy, yes, actually, the energy industry is doing its best to meet today's present demand. But I think the major problem when it comes to the supply of demand of energy is that people are now realizing that some of these sources of energy are very harmful to the environment and requesting for a change or more environmental solutions to these problems. So partially, I would say it's meeting the demands, but not totally the demands of the people, which is safer sources of energy that are cleaner to the environment. So that's the something they are working on.
Oh, so what do you mean safer sources of energy? Do you mean because the present ways with which we generate energy today is not safe enough to meet the demand, or it is a factor affecting the demand of energy?
So I think like everybody knows how controversial the use of fossil fuel is, and people say it tends to contribute to most of the CO2 emission in the environment, like global warming and all, because CO2 has a factor to play, greenhouse gases has a factor to play in the depletion of the ozone layer. So, and like I said, fossil fuels takes about 75 to 85% of energy demand or energy use in the world. And if this fossil fuel is the major source of like major contribution of CO2 to the environment, so that's what I mean by like people are like to, and demand is all about what people want and what people not yeah what people need and what they want. So and right now, what majority of people want is something that is safe to the environment. And if fossil fuels leads to the emission of CO2, therefore you can say that it has like not really environmental friendly. But though there are technologies in place that people are working on to reduce this effect. So I think it's still something that they're still working on. So I won't say the energy industry is there yet.
Nice. Since you mentioned CO2 and fossil fuels, so I would like to ask, like, should we focus our energy on new sources of energy, to reduce the effect of fossil fuels, on the environment, CO2, greenhouse gases, and all that?
Well, by new sources of energy, I think okay, you'll be referring to most of the renewable source of energy that is going around. Like people are like, okay, instead of using fossil fuels, we can focus on wind power or power from water bodies and all. But then the truth about these things is that, like you said, they are new. So, and something that is new is not fully developed or studied, and everything has its negative effects. So, we can't say because fossil fuel has its disadvantage, we should shift our focus on creating a newer source of energy. No, but rather, I won't say we should, okay, not shift our focus, but then why not be in the middle? As much as we're trying to develop new source of energy, because we need this new sources of energy to supplement fossil fuels, because we can't always be dependent on fossil fuels due to the one, the effects they're having on the environment, and it's not something that is going to last long. It's not renewable. So one day it's definitely going to finish. So yes, we still need to focus our energy on getting a source of energy, but also we need to rectify these effects, because the truth is non-renewable source of energy causes a lot of disadvantage and it's very expensive. But fossil fuel is easily accessible by everyone. So which means a large number of people are making use of this. So we as engineers, I feel it's our responsibility to also try and reduce the effects that this fossil fuel has in the world, and try to there are a lot of things that, like carbon capture now, they're trying to see how to reduce the CO2 emission, or and there are better ways of refining these fossil fuels. So I think we can just be in the middle instead of transitioning to one other side. So it's better to just be in the middle, work on the new ones and also improve the old one.
Oh, that was very explanatory. So I would guess, you kind of like you spoke into my next question. I was about to ask you if you think the energy industry is ready for a total transition into renewable energy and other forms of energy, or sorry, other forms or sources we can get energy from. But with what you just said, so I would assume, but I don't want to assume since you are here. So do you actually think we are ready for a total transition from fossil fuels to renewables, other sources, and
Oh, you see, the problem with that segment is total transition. When we are talking about transition, that means you're trying to say we get rid of fossil fuels, we don't need fossil fuels anymore, and we move to this renewable source of energy. But the truth is, this renewable source of energy alone cannot meet the demand of energy of the population, because, and one thing about population is it keeps on growing, we keep on increasing in population. So if at present the renewable source of energy are not able to meet the present energy demand, then I think it would be unwise of us to assume that we can totally transition to them and forget about fossil fuels. The truth is, in fact, in implementing some of this renewable source of energy, industries still make use of fossil fuels, they still make use of coals. So yeah, I don't think the industry has that. Now, maybe in future years, like years to come, we'll be able to transition. But for now, I don't think we are ready to transition fully to renewable source of energy.
okay, thank you very much. So would you say because of the adverse effects of the pollutions we get from fossil fuels, do you think the industry are they doing enough to protect the environment, or what do you think they can do better to protect the environment from the harmful effects of pollutions pollutants from fossil fuels?
Well, I will actually say they are not doing enough. We keep on talking about these things, the new technologies that we can make use of, or ways to control these things. But then it seems like the industry is more focused on maximizing profits than maximizing environmental impacts. That's how it seems, or how it looks like. Well, I won't totally talk because, like, I'm not fully into the industry. But then with what I've seen and what I've read online and everything, it just looks like we just keep on talking. Okay, we have a meeting, discussion, seminars. What are the new source of energy? How can we move forward? But then they are not implementing these things. So I feel the way the industry can move forward is to, like, instead of just words, like actions. Like, okay, um we hear news and stories of how drilling sites affect neighboring towns. Why not proper maintenance of these drilling sites and ensure everything is done properly? Look for better technologies to properly refine these fossil fuels to reduce the CO2 emission. Work on carbon capture technologies, and also, as long as they are benefiting from these fossil fuels, and like, because we all know that, like, it's very, very profitable, They can also try to invest money in doing more research about the non-renewable source of energy and how to increase the effect of all these things. So I feel, yeah, they're not doing enough and they need to do enough. They need to be more conscious of the environment, because if this environment or this planet is not safe for us to live in anymore, they lose their customers. And if you are not able to purchase this energy, I don't know where they want to make their money from, or maybe reserves of money. And also, yeah, they're not doing enough and they need to be more environmental conscious.
Well, thank you very much. That something you said was very strong. If this environment is not safe for us, then they lose their customers, and that is a very great loss. You're talking about loss of lives because we are the ones that use energy. So yeah, that is true. So, with that being said, do you think the, you know, say renewable sources of energy or other like sources of energy, do you think they have like, some kind of adverse effects that we do not know about? We just think, oh, we are looking at the greater good now. But do you think there are things that are hidden that we do not know about, regarding renewable sources of energy?
Like I used to say, whenever someone asks me question, I'm always like, there is nothing good that doesn't come with the negative effects. Like I'm yet to see something that is that great that doesn't have one consequence or the other. So the thing about this renewable source of energy is it's a new idea. Everybody loves it. Okay, yes, no CO2 emission and all. But I'm very sure that when fossil fuels came into effect, or when we started using fossil fuels, we didn't really think of how much the CO2 emission will impact the society. So, and this non-renewable source of energy, if you research well online and you check some other things, you will see that they have some minimal effects that we have not yet explored, or I think people are just they just decide to like they compare the effects or the negative effect of this non-renewable to the CO2 emission. Like, okay, this CO2 has done damage, but then this CO2 emission has been something that has been building up, and this non-renewable source of energy also have their own effects. Like for example, I read a story online about a dam that was used to produce electricity, but then something happened, and I think there was a malfunction from them. Sha. Then the water that was being stored up was released and flooded a lot of homes. So that's one of the negative effects that we need to consider. How can we stop this? How can we like properly build these dams well, and that will just keep water in one place? And also some of these non-renewable source of energy also affects the eco balance in nature. Like for example, wind. I read something about wind power, like because using wind power is like you're controlling the wind or trying to direct it to supply your own energy demands. And we have these birds and creatures that fly up there that make use of this. This is their natural habitat. But then some of these things that we do also affect them, but we don't consider that because okay, they're just birds. But then they're also part of nature. So I think there are a lot of negative effects of this non-renewable source of energy that we have not tapped into, or we just decide to neglect for now because it's serving a better option than fossil fuels.
Okay, thank you very much. So, well, what in your opinion, what source of renewable energy do you think is the safest? You know, considering all the research, and everything, what do you think is the safest way to move forward, to start the transition in step, with less hidden adverse effects to, the best of your knowledge?
Well, with the best of my knowledge, I would say so far, I think solar has been one of the most effective, like based on what I see. I think the major problem people say solar has is that land space. But then this is something that we don't need to get a very large land and say, okay, yeah, planting solar panels plant or something. It's something that okay, their houses now. Someone's house is taking up that space, and the houses that all you just need to do is place the solar panel on top of the houses, and you still make use of this solar energy. So I think for now, to me, based on everything I've read and seen, I think solar energy is like the safest or more profitable and something that looks like we can transition to slowly.
Nice. Okay, speaking about, the solar systems, panels, batteries in particular, not limited to solar now with my question. So how instrumental do you think battery technology is, because there are a lot of, forms and ways battery technologies are evolving these days. So, how instrumental do you think battery technologies, are to the energy industry? How do you see them playing a vital role in sustaining the future of renewable energy sources?
Oh, yeah. Batteries actually have a very good role. Like, okay, for example, now most cars run, or let me say, before most cars run on fossil fuels. I know they have internal combustion engines that burn these things and increase the CO2 emission in the environment. But nowadays, you have batteries that are made of more sustainable cells and materials, and these batteries are being in use. So, in fact, there are a lot of benefits. I feel, yeah, yeah, batteries have a role to play, at least in modes of transportation. Then there are plants that, okay, with the use of solar energy, they charge up these batteries down. So instead of you having a plant that is running 24/7 on fossil fuel combustion, you have batteries to supplement and use in this plant. So yeah, batteries actually play a very important role in transitioning from fossil fuels, or should I say supplementing the use of fossil fuels in the energy industry.
Okay. Well, going back to fossil fuels, yeah. So I'm thinking, say we don't transition, if we don't start using renewable sources of energy and we don't start using other forms, with which you can get energy, we don't tap into other technologies. Do you think, fossil fuels, sources and everything we can get from that source of energy is enough to sustain the world's present demand for energy? And what projection do you see? Do you think it's actually still enough to supply the world's demand for energy in many, many years to come?
Oh, okay. Like I think I said earlier that something about fossil fuel is it's not renewable. So as by making use of these fossil fuels, it's depleting. So, and if we are talking about presently, in fact, presently it's not enough to meet the world's energy demand, because it's it's about 85% on consumption right now. And the fact that fossil fuel was not enough was what made people start looking for other sources of energy. Like, okay, what can we see around? What can we make use of? Then we can't even forget about the negative impacts that it has. So, if about now we are seeing CO2 emission in the atmosphere is causing global warming and all, what do you think will happen if we are fully focusing on fossil fuels, or the entire world is using just majorly fossil fuels? And except, even if you want to say, okay, yes, we are working on technologies to reduce the effects, they have not been in place presently right now. It's still something we are working on. So therefore, it shows that as the world is now or in future, I don't think fossil fuel is enough to sustain us, because one, we are even increasing in population, so demand for energy is increasing. Like, everybody wants, we make use of energy as we are talking safe, as we are talking together, we're making use of energy, because I'm sure your laptop or phone is making use of a battery, and almost everybody is making use of energy. So if you want to focus on only fossil fuels, it cannot be enough, because one, it's not renewable. Two, it has negative impacts that we still need to work on. It's not environmental friendly totally. Then, yeah, energy demand is just increasing day by day, and population. So you have to have alternative sources of energy, like other options you can go to. If I don't want to use this, okay, this is available. If my country can't produce this is available. All these kind of things. So no, fossil fuels cannot be enough, and I don't even think in the future it will be enough.
Nice, nice. That is good. Well, I guess we better, speed up the transition, into other sources of energy. So, in that sense, how do you think the world has evolved with fossil fuels? I mean, how can you tell us, like, how better we are now? Can you tell us, like, say we started with this, amount of fossil fuel we were producing at this rate, the energy demand was this, and how have we moved from there? What problems have we solved? What problems did we face back then? What problems did we solve along the way? And what problems are we facing now concerning fossil fuels? How have we evolved? The good and the bad.
So, like I said, the thing is, okay. So initially, yeah, majority of energy was focused on fossil fuels and carbon. I think there was about a time where it was 95% fossil fuels. Then I think people were supplementing with either solar, or I can't really remember, or hydro. But now it's reducing to reduced to about 85%, but now is in the range of 75% consumption of fossil fuels. So you can see that other sources of energy are helping to supplement this. Then another thing is, initially when fossil fuels, when we make use of these fossil fuels, I think most, although there was warning of the CO2 emission and how it was going to affect the environment, but we're not really conscious of it. But now you can see industries talking about these things, talking about, okay, CO2 is affecting the world. How are we going to do this? What do we need? And you can see industries coming up with technologies. There was something I read about catalytic converters that they use in their some industries used in the
Exhaust.
furnace where the CO2, yeah, exhaust passes through. And these catalytic converters help to convert the CO2 into something else before it goes into the atmosphere. That's an improvement. That's something. Although it's not enough because there are so many sources of CO2 emission that you can't be using this everywhere. But then we see, okay, like cars now in transportation, we can see that there are electric cars available now. Not that, okay, not all cars require the use of fossil fuels. We have electric cars that are very, very useful, and I feel it's going to come a long way. You have people are no longer, like I said, for example, in homes. Okay, let me use Nigeria for example. Now, most people now, if you don't have the normal supply from NEPA or PHCN, we put on our generators, and these generators make use of all these fossil fuel products and they emit CO2. But now we have some houses that have solar panels attached to them. So instead of them making use of these generators, they make use of solar panels. So like that's an improvement. I'm not saying okay we've totally eradicated the use of fossil fuels, but we're making use of them. But the other sources of energy that we're adding is reducing the impact that they have on the environment. And more technologies are coming up too. And in fact, their final refining processes that most of these products undergo to reduce the amount of CO2 that they will emit into the environment. So yeah, the fossil fuel let's say revolution is improving or increasing and reducing the environmental damage that it's causing, which is one of the biggest problems that it's facing. I guess it's just that global warming, the CO2 effect, greenhouse gases, and scientists are working on things to reduce this.
Okay. Thank you very much. That is good. So recently we heard that, people banned drilling to prevent, people from accessing fossil fuels. And do you think it's a solution, or it's just an extreme solution to, the problem?
Well, okay, I was telling someone the other day that I think it was Joe Biden that he banned some companies that already signed their drilling permit or so. Like it was to
Yeah.
me, it just seemed like a political decision. Like, okay, I promised these people I was going to care about their environment, so yeah, this is my solution. But then the thing about these permits is that some of these companies have acquired permits ahead of this. The same way you are thinking of the future, they are also thinking of the future of their industry. So they've anticipated this kind of move. So they have permits, like several permits to drill several areas signed down, because the banning is not banning previous permits, it's banning future permits,
Yeah.
or it's, in fact, it's just a temporary decision for now. So I don't even think that was a solution. It just looked more like a political decision just to, let's say, favor the people or gain their like respect or something. So it's not even a solution. It's not even a, I feel instead of focusing on saying you're banning people from drilling, why not implement policies that ensure that these companies follow the right drilling procedure? Because we've heard stories of drilling sites that are not well handled. When they are done with drilling, they just leave everything, the effects, the chemical effects that it still have on people in the neighboring community. So I feel like they should focus more on implementing policies that ensure that companies follow the right procedure. They don't just go there to drill, get their money, their profit, and leave and forget about the future effects. And they should also try and implement people to make use of renewable source of energy. So I don't think that was a very good solution. It was just like a, let's say, like just like a show off or something. I don't think it was a proper solution though. That's my opinion.
Okay. Yes. Honestly, that sounds about right, because it seems we are just delaying the problem. He didn't solve the problem. He's just pushing it back, suspending tools to exploit the problem, which is okay. Speaking about drilling, and we get natural gas from oil caps. When we drill, we get to the gas zone. So in this kind of way, we talk about natural gas and natural gas being the future of fossil fuels because they are more efficient, they are cleaner, they produce less amount of pollutants. So do you think natural gas is the future? Do you think that there's a really bright future for natural gas, and how do you think we can implement natural gas in today's world of energy?
Well, yeah, natural gas has a future, but I won't say it is the future that or it is our future. Let me just put it like that. Because the thing is, natural gas alone, I don't think it can supply the amount of energy that we need. But yeah, it's a very good perspective because since the use of natural gas, there has been a very drastic or okay, a decrease in the amount of CO2 emission. I think about 10% decrease in the last 10 years since we started using natural gas. And so, if I want to say the future for natural gas, yeah, it's a very good idea, and and it's also very profitable economically. Like it's cheaper to produce and get compared to some other source of energy. So yes, that's a future. But I think the problem that we might have with natural gas is there comes a time when we might not be able to supply enough. So yes, it has a future, but like I said, we should also consider other options and other source of energy. We should have other options in place. We shouldn't just focus on something, okay, because it's easy to get natural gas, it's cheap, and it's safer for the environment. What else do we want? No, we should plan ahead for the future and also know that, okay, this other source of energy, how can we improve them? If the time comes that natural gas is going to fail us, how can we make use of that? So it has a future, but it's not totally the future.
All right, thank you very much. So I'm thinking, should need be, do you think we can actually depend on natural gas? Do you think that there can be a point, at some point in the future where we would depend solely on natural gas and would suspend other products we get from fossil fuels, while transitioning into other sources of energy? Do you understand? Like, say we are transitioning and we just suspend the use of, diesel, petrol, kerosene, and other heavy products from fossil fuels, and we just focus on natural gas. Do you think that kind of time can come? Do you think it's possible?
Oh, I actually think it's possible if that we can depend on natural gas. Yeah, it's very possible because I would say natural gas is like let's say sister supplement of fossil fuels. It's like the things fossil fuels you can use it for. You can also implement natural gas into this thing. So yes, a time can come where we can depend on natural gas while still trying to transition to the other renewable source of energy. In fact, it might just be added as the new technology age. So yes, a time can come when we can depend on natural gas because it's very useful and less environmentally dangerous to the to the world and all. So yes, a time can come that we can depend on natural gas instead of using fossil fuels while still transitioning to the other source of energy. I'll always emphasize that one source of energy cannot do this alone. We need the help of others. So yeah, but a time can come that we can really depend on natural gas.
Oh, that is nice. Thank you very much. So, what role do you think the president's government in place, you know, people to come to rule us? What kind of things do you think they can put in place? How do you think they can help? You know, they can help industries produce better, a better quality of fuel, and how they can help countries to stop polluting the environment. What vital role do you think governments can play in this?
Okay, one vital role I think the government can play is if you read online and you hear most of the things or the reasons why people are not focusing on this non-renewable source of energy and renewable source of energy, sorry, on a large scale is you get no money to do the research. So I feel the government can think about the future and try and um create a large source of investment for these researchers to do their work properly and know, okay, how can we make use of this in the future and what can we do, like in order for them to carry out, because they need large sources of money for these researches that they do. So I think government can play a role by funding research facilities to continue this research to know how to get a better technology. And also they can ensure that policies that they put in place for companies to follow in drilling, in production of all these fossil fuels, they should ensure that companies follow this. It shouldn't just be okay, if this okay, like I said, I think when I mentioned about the banning of some drilling operations, I said it was a political play. I think if people stop attaching politics to everything and we focus on the real problem here, and okay, this company has disobeyed this policy or they didn't follow the right procedure, they should be fined or they should be banned or something like that. And with this, at least most industries, you know that okay, we are not here to joke. We care about this environment, we care about this planet. So they can do a lot of by investing in research facilities and also ensuring that policies are well followed. People know the proper drilling procedures, they maintain their plants well, they control the amount of waste that they emit into the environment, and they are working on technologies to reduce the waste that they um, produce into the environment. So I feel that's the role the government can play into this.
All right. Okay. That sounds very insightful. So, well, as we recreate as we move ahead, do you think the world's energy demand is going to increase or decrease, or proceed in a steady, slow ascent, or do you think the growth will be exponential, or it will be a slow linear growth?
Well, presently, as the world is, and judging based on what scientists and researchers say, the energy demand is going to increase. Like it's really going to increase in future because population has a role to play. But then I think due to the fact that okay, people recognize that there's going to be an increase, I think they are working on ways to reduce that. So, but for now, I'll say yes, there's going to be an increase. But if we play our cards right, yeah, the increase might be slow and not rapid, like how it is estimated. Because not all estimations come in play. Like we find solutions before we reach certain estimations. Like there have been estimations of the CO2 emission that okay, by so year CO2 emission in the atmosphere is going to be this, but then you see that industries are working on ways to reduce this. So yeah, there's an estimation that is going to increase, like really increase, but then I think industries are working on that to like reduce that or try to meet it faster so the increase doesn't really show or affect us.
All right, thank you. Do you think the world's energy demand would be completely met at any point in time? Do you think the energy produced by industries, from all sources of energy, do you think there will be a time where we'll be able to completely supply enough energy for everyone?
Well, okay, okay. Speaking like based on what I see, I don't. Well, I want to believe that okay, the engineering society is improving. So yes, there might be a time that we might actually let me say okay, maybe we'll meet 90%. I won't say 100%, not totally, but yeah, we should be able to meet majority of the demand. So like very high percentage, like maybe 90, 92. But I don't think we can presently with the way things look and with the whole drawback from COVID itself, I don't think we can really meet it fully. But maybe in years to come, maybe about 92%. That's the percentage I'll put for now. I won't say fully or 100, just maybe 92.
Okay, yeah, from a prodigy, yeah, coming from you, and under this tenet society of pressure maintenance, 92% sounds great. So going a little bit out of scope, do you think nanotechnology can play a vital role in creating in creating a better source of efficient energy generation? Do you think nanotech can solve the energy problem? Do you think going small means we go better and we have better efficiency? How do you think nanotech plays into the energy world. We see some science fiction movies and we see them implementing nanotechnology into, you know, good battery technologies, good sources of energy. I once read that there are some people working on nano solar panels that are more like times three more efficient than already existing solar panels. So do you think nanotech would play a vital role in transitioning?
Oh yes, nanotechnology is like a very very good concept that has been improving different sectors of, let me say, okay, the engineering world, not just the energy sector. So yes, nanotech will actually play a very good role. Like you said, now they're working on making like mini, let's say mini, or yeah, using nanotechnology to produce smaller solar panels. So if you remember clearly when I was talking about some of the effects that people say about solar energy, I was talking about land space. So imagine if we're able to minimize this solar panel cells that we make use of, and like with the use of nanotech, you and as you mentioned, this technology is more efficient and it's way faster because, like computers now, we have big computers. Doesn't mean that right now we are still using them. We have smaller systems and they are still doing the work faster because people have found a way to reduce the usage of space and still work faster. So yeah, nanotech really has a role to play in implementing in improving the energy sector and like reducing cost and everything. But I think the problem now is implementing this nanotechnology. I think we are still negligent about the use of nanotech. Like it's just okay. People watch it in movies and be like, oh wow, this is cool. But then the government or the industry sector is not really focusing on these things. They're still trying to play it safe and go for the cheaper option. They're not thinking of the future or like, okay, how will this help in future? They're just playing it safe. So yes, it has a very important role, and I wish we would make use of it more in the industry.
Well, that is nice. I actually see nanotechnology playing a vital role, in the world's energy industry today. Well, I guess we'll be rounding. We'll start preparing to end. I would like to take questions from those watching us. Please ask questions. There are some, we've had activity in our chat box, and I would like us to. I would like you to go through the comment section and check if you would like to answer any interesting question. Someone said something about Tesla wall and Tesla roof. You know, um, with regards to solar as a source of solar power as a source of energy. So, do you think something like this can be implemented? In a lot of countries. We using Tesla wall, we using Tesla roof to capture energy from the sun. And how efficient do you think solar is as a source of energy? How efficient is it?
So time I just noticed that like I can see the comments, so like I'm just trying to go through them and I'll come back to your
Yeah,
question.
yeah, no, I'll tag a few. I tagged one to the main screen.
Okay.
So
Tesla wall and roof. Okay. To be completely honest, I don't really know much about that, but um, well, okay, I can say it's fine. Sorry, I think I was disconnected. Am I back now?
yes, yes,
Can
please
you
go
hear me?
ahead. Yes.
Sorry, just trying to set something. Please, sorry, forgive me.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess we'll talk about this issue in our next edition.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
In the
guys,
place
please
to
hang
say.
tight. I think it's the network, so she'll be back very soon.
Please, I'm coming.
Yeah, yeah, no problem.
Okay, so can you hear me now? If I
Yes,
can
please
hear
go
me.
ahead. Yes, I
Okay,
can.
like I said, I don't really know much about that. I think maybe I need to do more research about that. Like I majorly okay, being a okay, my interest is majorly has to do with another side. So I don't really focus on reading about that. So maybe I'll
Has
check
to
more
do
about
with
it. But yeah, like okay, like most of the things I've talked about, fossil fuels, natural gas and all. So I don't think I've really read much about it. But I think from what I hear about people, I think Tesla has a very large role to play in supplying energy demand, and it's going to be very effective. So the reason why I don't want to talk about this, I don't really know much about the disadvantages because I believe that everything that's an advantage has a disadvantage. So if I neglect the disadvantage of something because the advantage is eye catching and all, I won't. That does not is not to me. That's not meaning that that energy is sustainable because sustainability has to do with three major factors. That's um, economic, social, and environmental. So if we don't have
Oh, I think it's the network again. Sorry guys, please hang tight. I think she'll be back very soon. It's the network. Okay, she left. I guess she'll join back. So while we are waiting for her, let me see. So Ifeoluwa Adekoya, what about nuclear fission? Do you think there is a future? Yes. In fact, I think there is a country with a lot of nuclear energy that they supply other countries, with electricity. And yes, it is really good. The problem is with its the dangers, people it affects, the overall effect on the society, on the environment, and every other thing. It is a good source of energy, yeah, but it should not be advised for the safety of the environment. We as chemical engineers, we as petroleum engineers, we as engineers in general, we should care about the society, we should care about the environment, and we should care about sorry, we should care about making the world a safer place. And if we keep depending on harmful, or I won't say harmful, if we keep depending on sources of energy that really do not have that, or that really pollutes the environment, I think we should look forward to better sources, and we should drop those ones. Sorry, I got a little bit disoriented. Well, yes, this is true. Solar cannot really be the primary focus of solving our problems. Honestly, thinking about it now, solar energy as a source of energy, as a source of energy, for electricity, it's not really efficient. The efficiency of solar panels, if you look it up, if you read about it, it is very surprising. You'll be surprised how much energy is lost and how much energy is really converted, how much is recovered. So that is why nanotech, um, people in the world of nanotechnology are developing solutions to create smaller solar panels that are more efficient than the solar panels that we have now, to solve the issue of land area. Because to think about it, we do not have, like, compared to housing, compared to um people around, compared to what we use land for, we do not have that much land to provide electricity for everybody. We do not have that much space. So yeah, solar cannot really be a primary focus. So Oyindamola is back, and I would add that to continue her
sorry,
session.
I'm sorry. So okay, I can see someone talking about the amount of land area. So yes, I think I mentioned that was one of the disadvantages of solar panel. But then, if you notice something in the engineering world, whenever we discover something, someone tends to bring out the disadvantage. And what do we do then? We try to work on how to improve this. So I don't know if you heard the part that you first said about nanotech playing a very important role in solar panel. The truth is the solar energy is not always going to be dependent on using large so on using large cells to power devices or anything, because um it's going to improve. So I want to believe that this is something we're going to work on. And yeah, like you first said, the introduction of nanotech is going to play a very vital role. So, but then, like, yeah, it will not. I don't advise any source of energy to be the primary focus. Like I said, it's good for us to have options, something you can go to. Yeah, solar cannot really power the entire world, but then it's a very good. It's compared to other renewable source of energy. I feel it's very effective. So I think I want to answer one question I'm seeing here about uranium or so. So
Yes, please go
I don't
ahead.
know if you can you highlight it maybe for others to see or something.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know why I didn't mention nuclear energy. The truth is, nuclear energy is also one of the source of energy. There are some countries that they maximize the use of nuclear energy. So yeah, uranium is not safe. But then the truth is, if you're talking about the engineering world, nothing is safe. But we find ways to protect ourselves. You can't say we don't want to take risks and move forward because it's not safe or because there are dangers involved. The thing is, there are professionals that understand this, and there are ways to protect themselves. So nuclear power is like a very good, like, it lasts for long and it's very effective. It's, I think, after fossil fuel and maybe so the combination of solar and hydro, it's one of the next source of energy that is very effective. But then I guess the problem with it is the risk, the exposure to a lot of radiation and all. But then there are equipment in place to protect people from this. So, like I said, if we invest more money into research and we do more research about these things, we can make use of this uranium. So I won't say because it's not safe, we shouldn't consider it. Yes, it's a very good option, and we should also consider it. But we just need to research more and know how to handle these things better. So, any other question?
Yes, I would highlight one. So this one.
Okay, I think I've kind of answered this. In developing countries, see the truth there, if we're talking about developing countries, um, we want to talk about transition of the energy industry. We can't really mention developing countries because most of these developing countries depend on developed countries. They import technology from developed countries. So we can't even talk about them when we are trying to mention new sources of energy. But um, I think I need to emphasize this. I'm not totally in support in having one source of energy as a primary source of energy. If we can have it, or why not try to have it? Or okay, although you can't eat your cake and have it, but then there's a way we can um make things moderate or try to find the middle line. So, and like from the previous question I highlighted, one of the major barriers to the implementation of nuclear energy is that it has a lot of risks involved. And I think as at now, we have not really fully studied it or tried to implement or try to reduce the effects of the radioactive effects. And the truth is, you trying to implement nuclear energy, let's not forget that not everybody has the good at that you have towards the environmental change. You know, imagine if we're implementing nuclear energy, that means we have access to these nuclear devices and all, and we know that nuclear weapon is like a very big deal. So with the minimum countries that have access to this nuclear energy and nuclear weapons, we are still having issues. So imagine if it is a general thing. So I think, yeah, that's one of the barriers, the access to the nuclear energy and the risk involved. And I think the third one would be man. I think man is a barrier for that because our decision on how to use this is a problem. So yeah.
Nice. That is a very
Uh,
nice way to think about it. That is very insightful. So I guess that answers that. I would highlight this one. I would like for your opinion on it. For you to share your opinion on it.
Okay, yes, you're right. For industrially presently, it's not really efficient. That's why I said most plants that make use of solar panel, they still make use of fossil fuels. That's why I initially said that total transition from fossil fuels to non-renewable source of energy is not possible. So, like you said, it's a good idea for private power in homes. But the fact that shouldn't this also be a very good step? Like, isn't it a step in the future? If you can use these things commercially in your homes. But in industrial sectors, if only industrial sectors are making use of some of these fossil fuels, we do have generations from homes. Don't you think it will reduce the amount of CO2 emissions? And the truth is that these industrial sectors have ways to deal with the consequences that comes with them using fossil fuels, whereby someone that just bought a combustion engine doesn't know the impact in the environment, doesn't know what to do, just buys it and is using it. All the person cares about is, I need this energy. I want to make use of it to power my devices, to enjoy myself. But if they are making use of solar panel, and we have the industry using other source of energy, but they know how to maintain it, don't you think that's a very good step forward in the energy sector? Like, so I think, yeah, I agree with the person.
All right. So here is another.
Okay, I think, okay, I like the second statement. Like you said, solar energy is beginning to make a wave in Africa. I can't disagree that Africa is one of the slowest developed countries, or some developed sector area in the world. Like I said, some developing countries tend to borrow technologies from developed countries. Like, we hardly do research on our own. In fact, let me use Nigeria as an example. I think I was complaining to someone how we do not have enough research facilities. Like, we don't even try to. We have bright minds here, but most of them travel out of the country because there are not enough research facilities. So, like, I think if I asked me a question about how the government can play a role, and I said investing money in research facilities. So imagine if we have a research facility that is working on nanotech in Africa. This would be very this would be very good and effective for the energy industry, because we would be able to also tap into these resources. But no, we keep on depending on, okay, whatever US or China produces, and we'll import it or buy it. So I don't even think I want to use Africa to judge the energy industry, because, like, as bad as it is, or as much as I don't want to accept it, we are way behind, and we don't even, our government doesn't even look like they are ready to move forward or ready to implement it. So in fact, we have a lot of other issues, talk less of saying we don't research a lot of things. But if solar energy is beginning to make wave in Africa, I can tell you, maybe in years to come, nanotech will also be introduced. In fact, there's some minor nanotechs that have been introduced into the country, although it's not accessible to everybody at large. But then, if we give it time, maybe by the time other countries have advanced in it and, like, perfected it, maybe by then it will make wave to Africa. So yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. So I can't really see any other interesting comments to highlight. So I guess that would bring us to the end of this talk session, this talk show, this energy talk show. So thank you very much for joining us, Oyindamola. Thank you very much for, educating us. But I would like to ask you a final question. So, if I ask you, or if anyone should ask you, where do we go from here? Like, what is the way forward from here? What would you say to that?
Okay. So for me, the way forward is, we need to correct our mistakes. I think one of the biggest mistakes that we made was neglecting the words of scientists, because this global warming issue is not something new. It's something that has always been emphasized, and people have been talking about it. But I guess the energy industry was not focused on it. They were just like, okay, we are getting our profits. Energy is useful. We are, like, I think some of the comment section, people are talking about benefits of this, that, but then you hardly see people talking about disadvantages of something. So I think the way forward one is to try and correct our mistakes, try and look for cleaner ways that we can reduce the effects that has been the effects on the environment that some of these fossil fuels has done. And the second thing I would like to say is that research. That's just all I want to say, research, because before we jump to the next trend or move on to the next new thing, I think we need to really study them and understand the disadvantages that come with this and how to beat these disadvantages. So yeah, so I would basically say, one, correcting our mistakes, and two, researching for the future.
All right. Yes, that sounds very productive. That is true. One of the ways I myself, know about is, carbon capture and storage. And honestly, I don't even think the world just started anyway. Even Africa is not ready. there are just 3 carbon capture and storage plants in Africa, and I know we police the world a lot. So I guess we'll get there with time, and we will evolve. So once again, thank you very much for joining us. We also want to say a very big thank you to everyone that joined us on this program. I know it's not easy to join. I know it's not easy to use your data to watch something like this, but it would be really helpful if you guys can join us more, and if you can encourage us, because well, if we want to believe it, if we don't want to believe it, we think education is not rewarding. But to be very honest, we are the future, and if we don't do it, no one else will do it here, because other people from other country would not come to another country to help us. They will focus on their country, then so if we don't discuss the proper way forward, if we don't find our own way, if we're not innovative enough, I do not think we would go forward. So we have to have this kind of talks. We have to go forward. We have to be innovative. We have to be aware of our environment. We have to be aware of the problems around us. We have to be aware of real innovations that are coming up, battery technologies, nanotechnology, renewables, biofuels, natural gas, CCS, I mean carbon capture and storage, so we have to put ourselves, there. We have to protect ourselves and be ready to transition. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we would hope to see you guys in the next one.
Thank you all. Yeah. See you guys next week. All right.
Yeah. See you then. Yeah. Bye bye.